How do I stop that being unlisted? Okay. Well, we should be operating now. Anyone who just turns up, this is going to be like, take me a few seconds to get this set up, I forewarn you. It's not the easiest thing to set up, and I had to practically bend over backwards for the encoding things, shit like that. It's intolerable what you have to do now, and the speed of the internet you're expected to have is ridiculous. No, that's good to know. My stream apparently works. Right, well, that's good. I don't know if anyone will turn up. Either way, I'm starting my fucking rebuild. Right after I roll a cigarette. I can't really see what's going on here, so I'm going to have to go and tweak things. Because we don't need all of that yet, I just need that. And that's about it. So now I can watch everything as it unfolds. And the colour balance is off, so to any viewers, excuse the stupid camera, which is apparently not working, which is typical. Well, apparently it is. It is now. It wasn't a second ago. Brilliant. So what we're going to rebuild is this 486 here, because it has gained a new motherboard out of the pile of things available on the internet, which is basically the same model as the one we have been using. But this one is aged horribly and no longer works properly, and hasn't been out of there since sometime in 2004, and I've snagged a wire. It's not the most convenient place to work this, but on the other end we should have a decent enough view of the guts of the machine for while I work on it. And I'll be installing a new motherboard that already has a new graphics card. But even if the angle's not perfect, I will look at things in detail as they come out. I have some other things to do. There's some soldering I have to do for the battery pack to work on the new board. I have to set software up on the thing, which is why I have this weird doubled up view here, which I'm hoping is translating over to the streaming. It looks like it might just be. It's quite hard to navigate the browser in such a tiny window, but I'll get my cigarette rolled and I shall begin dismantling that, and that's going to be quite an emotional process for me, I have to be honest, because I have a lot of years running this thing and I'm going to kind of miss the quirks of this board, because the new one seems to work properly, this one never did, and we're going to find out how many screws I left out when I was 14 as well. Dismantling this thing is going to be a tedious task as well, because it's not the friendliest layout. It's not a full strip down, we're just going to strip it back as far as necessary. Because the logical place to start is with the expansion cards, and I've got the wrong screwdriver. I bought this screwdriver brand new today. I've got this nice one here. So that should be good for getting expansion cards and motherboards out. We shouldn't need any more screwdrivers for the whole dismantling process on this one. So where we'll start is with the graphics card, which is not the original graphics card. The original graphics card is on top of my monitor over here. That's the original graphics card, the QuickWorks 24i data card made in USA with that 3-key connector on the back. I have no idea as to its origins but it was worth the few cigarettes that it cost. And that card is VLB, this graphics card, so they are a bit of a nuisance to remove. They can get a little stiff, and I'm always kind of worried I'm going to crack them into about 10 separate pieces when I'm trying to rip them out, but that didn't put up too much of a fight. I've never liked how you can just make out the system speaker is right underneath that. I've always been mildly concerned by that, because I'm not sure that's... I don't know, ICs aren't usually bothered by a little magnetic field like that, but I've heard of it upsetting some stuff with it. It's never happened in here to my knowledge. There is another spot the PC speaker can be mounted in this case, which is actually under the hard drive there, which is off to that side over there. But why you'd want to stick a magnet underneath a hard drive seems kind of daft to me. However, next is the host adapter, and yeah, you can see this thing is made out of pieces. We have that floppy cable there that came with the DFI from the AMD Apple XP, and of course all these ports installed on the back that don't go anywhere. I'd like a way of getting rid of them without leaving a hole. But I suppose they're probably just going to stay in here just to plug the hole up, if nothing else. Apparently these are quite sought after now, these host adapters on VLB. And that does not want to come off, the IDE ribbon there. I'll move that camera back up where it came from there. What we'll do is, it's not the most professional jobby this, is it? But, oh dear, what a shame. Yeah, we'll have to rip out the IDE ribbon that one, isn't it? Yeah, of course, which kind of late, so I'm getting past the point of being able to tell off the top of my head. Network card, we've got to get that out. It's got a coax splitter on the back. Let's take that away. Oops. I should take that label off the screwdriver really, that's just going to get annoying. And don't worry about cigarette service in this thing. This thing probably would smoke if it could. Well, it has smoked a bit in its time. So it's very loose. Nothing fits in these slots very tight. It's kind of partly where it's got its nickname of the hooker, just because of how loose everything is. Screwdriver didn't want to go in that one. And of course this whole concept might fail miserably, this screenless stuff like, but it's worth a go. That will not be going back in there. That does work, but the slot it was in doesn't. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get another Sound Blaster 16 for this. In the meantime, I'm going to borrow the Sound Blaster 16 from the AMD K5. Or I might, my other 486 had motherboard failure, it's got a Pro 2 in there. I might put it in this one actually. I think that's what I will do. I think I will put the Pro 2 from the other 486 in here, and if that 486 ever gets repaired it can go on a much cheaper card, because I don't use it that much. I put a Crystal in there or something, or an Opti 930. I think I've got about 10 of those fucking things. They have decent enough Sound Blaster compatibility. I should have one round here. Where has it gone? Well, I can't find that. I only put things aside that I needed for doing this. I haven't like put other things within arm's reach. Probably moved them out of the way. That might be one. Somewhere under the desk. Yeah, one of those. That might be what the other 486 gets. They'd be more useful in here though, because the CD interface I could put two hard drives in without adding a second host adapter, but I don't think this thing needs more than one hard drive. That one's getting replaced with a big 6 gig drive, which actually is the one part I didn't think to find before I started doing this, but it won't have gone far, so I'll just find it when I need it. The power supply will not be coming out of here. That floppy cable, I don't know if I'll be putting that back in or using a flat one. I'd like to use a flat one so there's at least consistent in here, but there's nothing wrong with this one, it does work. I'll probably steal one out of the machine behind me, I think, just for use in here. The machine behind me is a bit of a scrap heap, like this thing was when it was built. And now we're starting to see things I ain't seen for years. Now you might notice something about this thing, is that ram down there has electrical tape holding it in, and yeah, that's because, well, we'll see when I get the motherboard out of there, won't we? To get the motherboard out, I'm probably best off removing that hard drive, because that hard drive is, I think, liable to snag the board on the way out. I'm going to take the heatsink away as well. It's not necessary on that CPU, it's just so it doesn't get lost and damaged. If I ever set a machine up that does need it, I know where it is. I can just take this panel off and take it out. CPU, that can stay in the board for now. This thing, it does have a smell to it, this, and I'm hoping it doesn't lose that characteristic after it's been rebuilt, because that, I don't know, that's just part of running this thing, is the fact that it really fucking reeks pretty bad. It smells like clothes that somebody's worn for a year, finally taken off and just thrown in a damp corner and left them for another 3 years. And when you run it for a couple of hours at heavy load, you get this faint smell of urine, and I'm not sure where that's from, but with things in there coming out of bins, I could imagine it might well have something to do with the bin. And that's good, because comments can come through, so any potential viewers can write those. It is hitting me quite hard, this, to be honest. I don't really want to do this, but that motherboard is getting worse. But I don't know, I might get it out of there and find that it's repairable, but in which case I'll have 2 of these things, because I don't think that processor's going back in there either, and probably just use the spare one. And everything that comes out of here today will go in a box and be kept. So I can't bring myself to throw anything from this thing out. At least it's broken a bunch of records before it went out. I got 379 in top bench. I had to shove an X5 CPU in there, but we beat some K6s up with it. So I might well have to try that with the new motherboard. And if that can't do it, I'm going to be very, very disappointed, and I will definitely attempting to repair this one more so than I'm already going to. But I do have a feeling this board is a lost cause, because it has suffered corrosion from the battery. What orientation is best? That orientation looks best. And there is my little hard drive that cost me a box of Richmonds. And that smell is getting bad. Oh, I did leave my reference card in here. This is something I wrote. That tells me the jumper settings for the cache, because there's no documentation for this motherboard really. So I figured these out. First off, I did find a random picture of, it was from someone sold one on eBay. I found a random picture and he had the cache set to 256, so I knew that setting. 128 is useful for overclocking X5s. It lets you turn the weight states down and the bus divisor a lot higher before it goes unstable, so it actually counters the marginal drop in performance for having half as much cache by causing a major increase in performance, being able to up speeds, clock speeds, and decrease wait time. But it's also easy because it only disables one bank of the cache. It would just turn those 4 chips off and leave those ones on. It's a single bank, 128k, so that'd be 32k per chip, and tag RAM. So it's quite nifty that. I'd quite like to set a bunch of switches on the back so I could set some of this stuff from there, but there's no point, I'd have to open it and change CPUs out to do things like that, I suppose. I've never tried to overclock these UMCs. Don't really know how they'd handle it. I think I've run a 33 at 40 by accident once. It seemed to work. They're pretty resilient little chips, those, actually, because they're rated for 5 volts, but they will run at 3.3 quite happily. I've never had any issues doing that. So, low power CPU, probably get lower power out of them. And I direct your attention to the CPU socket there. Oh dear, that's well, that was DX33 that I tested in there that caused that very strange looking CPU, and the notch, the little beveled edge, was actually on the wrong side, so I put the CPU in backwards, and I didn't think to look for the square pin or anything. I just assumed the notch was in the right place. It wasn't, and I think it blew that CPU to pieces. Motherboard survived. It didn't make the motherboard any worse, and of course a bunch of mismatched jumpers there. Those didn't come with the board. In fact, some of them are broken. There's one on the bus speed selector above the slots there. You just see a black block about here. One of those is actually broken, but it does still fit on the pin, so it does the job. And of course the BIOS chip there, the award BIOS, the arbitrary cheap motherboard, probably will let you down at some point, BIOS. The fucking clip on that camera is useless. The RAM stain on this board, that is not coming out with it. It's going to get new RAM when it goes. Oh, I found my new hard drive. That's the new hard drive. It's another Quantum. It is 6 point something gigabytes, so we're going to have at least 3 partitions on that because it is going to get Windows Chicago. I could have 64 megs of RAM, but we're not going that far. We'll go with 16 on 4 meg sticks, or I'll go on 32 on 2 16 meg sticks that I've got, but those have been a bit temperamental, so might use just another 16 megs generally enough for this thing. It's not like it's going to be playing Shadow Warrior or Blood, even though I think it could with the X5 in. It's probably not at high res, but we did Duke 3D on SVGA, like 640 by 480. Screws, well, that's a good start. There is no screw there, where there's supposed to be not even a bloody standoff there. I think I have some standoffs. There is a screw in this back corner here. There is not one in the top there. No standoff. So this thing is held in by just 2 screws. Well, possibly 3. Bloody hell, that does smell. I have not seen, except for where I can see through a little hole in the back, I have not seen the back of this motherboard since 2004, so this is going to be quite curious for me to find out. Yeah, I have not seen that for that long, so I am curious. I was just adjusting something on the machine as well. I was distracted. I think standoff's coming with that. I might have to find pliers. There's a washer around this one. Well, at least I was being conscious of potential shorts on the boards. Some of them can do that, unless I just had a spare washer and I didn't want to lose it. Yeah, there was no need. That screw has the tin plated ring around that hole, and the washer's kind of caved in because that screw is cone shaped underneath it. As I can't remember the word for it. Well, there is 4 screws. That's not enough though, there's supposed to be a bunch of standoffs stuck to this. I'm guessing I lost those. Yeah, that smell is... What is that now? That smells... Why does it smell? Yeah, right now my dodgy battery model here. And that's going to be something that I don't like doing, is disconnecting those batteries from it. I can make it some new batteries. I didn't know when I built it that you could put them straight on the connector. And that's not a problem. Ooh, there's a bodge on the board there. That's kind of interesting. I never noticed that. Right, that board should come out now. So this is it. After it's been in there a decade, or not enough screws, or any such thing. Dodgy wiring. Very, very dodgy. And we've got a spare LED up the back of it there, just sticking out there, and I think that was when I had two host adapters in there. It's time for it to come out. I'm going to miss you, motherboard. It's done a lot. You got me into college. And you were there when I came out of college. Fucking hell, I might have put other people in college before me. Oh, some tapes of that power connector. I'm noticing that the stream runs quite a long way behind everything else. There's quite a long delay on it now. But at least I'm able to do it. I don't know what the audio sounds like. Am I still getting pitched out? I don't know. I'll test it out. But then you'll get an idea how far behind it is as well. When I came out of college. Oh, the audio's not pitching down. Awesome. It used to on YouTube. Oh, well, this is good. Next time I'm awake all night, I can start maybe streaming some DOS stuff on my other channel. I think it's stuck on something, but I think it wants to come out. Yeah, that one's trying to come out, but there's something stuck in it somewhere. What's stuck in it? There's no screws there. There's no screws there. I think it's like just trying to glue itself to... There aren't even a mounting hole on that, so it doesn't want to come out. That's weird. But look, you can see I can try and lift it. Must be caught on something. What's going on there? Look, oh, there is a standoff in it. There's no way it's coming off there. Bloody hell. I did not do things properly when I was 14. That is probably not meant to look like that. I need Minicam back up so I can see the thing. Yeah, that is probably not meant to look like that. That screw there is... I can probably even get the whole screwdriver in the gap that's between that and the plate. That's probably not even 110 holding that in. That's ridiculous. They've probably rubbed on the inside of the case. It's not even tight. I think it's worked itself loose. I'm going to say that to make it sound like I wasn't so shoddy at this stuff. But to be honest, I thought this machine's going to be rubbish. I'm always going to hate it. It's not worth trying. Never spent a penny on this thing until very recently. So I'm like, well, no, to be fair to the machine, for all its little quirks and shit, it never did stand a chance. And it's given me 10 years of service. Had a lot of fun with it. I learned a lot about old machines with this one. You know, that's where I started learning a lot of it properly. I had to learn how to run this and get the best out of it. So I'm like, no, really, I kind of owe it to it. Fucking hell, it's filthy behind there. Oh man, there's fucking fingerprints from when I was 14 behind there. I'll show the plate in a minute. Hang on now. Oh yeah, the battery. I'm just going to have to cut it because it's hardwired to the motherboard. This, I don't like doing this, I really don't. Okay, so yellow is neutral. So I'm going to put some black tape on that, so I know that that is the ground pin, and the red is the 3 volts, or whatever volts is left in those batteries. But it's kind of irrelevant by now, because those wires are going to be getting taken off and getting replaced with a connector, so we can plug them straight into the board instead of having to mod the board. I don't even think that one has a circuitry for, the new one doesn't have circuitry for an internal battery, it's for external batteries only. And it's actually shorting on the case, which is bad, so we've got to break it off. I'll just break it, I'm not getting the iron out just for this. There's no point. There we go, that's the neutral off, and that's the positive out. There we go. And let's get, there we go. It's a little life support machine. Little black box that contains 2 AA batteries. There's nothing special in there. I'm going to have to open that up, modify it a little bit. It's not going to be on properly coloured wires, it's just getting softened old power LED. But the thing with those is the one connector per wire, so you put it on a jumper of any size in whatever polarity you want. Although the jumper on these 2 boards is the same, given that they're basically the same model. So let's have a look at that motherboard. Thing there. I'm really going to miss this board, I really am. And there it is. Jeez, I don't want to get rid of them fingerprints on the back. Kind of want to preserve those. Yeah, we can see there, fucking tape holding the RAM in. And if you're wondering why that is, you can probably just make out on the top of that slot there is no returning mechanism. And so it has to be taped in, so it'll stay in. It's the only way we can get memory to operate, especially in that bottom slot. The retainers are there, but they're completely limp, and those SIM slots do not work. I've tried those several times over the years. You can see how bad my soldering used to be. You can see the burn marks around where I'd added battery wires and a big, huge blob of solder there. Yeah, it's very bad solder work. Luckily there's nothing else there though. I have wired things up the wrong way in the past on other boards, and I have seen dreadful things happen, and I think I found out what's killing it. It seems what I spotted through the little hole is indeed correct. Jesus Christ, how was that even working? Fucking hell. Well, I think we might have found the problem. Cleaning it might actually fix it, but I don't know, because I've cleaned it before and that has obviously come back, and so after a while I just stopped cleaning it. But the original battery was on the board, it started leaking before I even got the thing. So how long did it leak? I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. And that could have done that kind of damage. And that standoff's going to be useful, because I'm going to get my spare standoffs out of the spare motherboard. It was 12 quid, this motherboard, and oh shit, I've just lost my rechargeable batteries. I'll find them. That's a Shuttle HOT 433 that I bought for 12 quid to repair. Doesn't seem to work. Probably never get it working, but it's fun to mess about with. And as you can see, there are standoffs on it, so we'll be having those, because they're not out of one of my cases. The previous owner just left them on. Now, apparently the new variant of this motherboard, even though it's on the 8498, supports the Cyrix 586 processors, so I'm quite eager to see it do that, because I've never heard of an 8498 base board that does that. These standoffs seem to be the same height, but a couple of them are broken. But as long as we can get a few, it should be enough. No, there's only 2 that are any good. Oh dear. Well, we should be okay. It's a bit of a bodge, I didn't want to have to do it, but it should be enough. Mostly on the back where the card's dislodged. To be honest, you can use broken ones though. There's still stand off, they just won't be notching into the hull. So yeah, we'll put some other ones on. Could put some double-sided tape there. I mean, it's not the right way, is it really? But they'll do their job. But you should see the cable management I can put in here. That's even worse. It's a cheap machine. Do you really think they would have been that bothered with build quality? You know? Standoffs out. I know you can't see anything but that edge of my old motherboard there. So I'm going to have to correct that. I've got the standoffs out there short now. But yeah, you can see that corrosion is, even on the CPU pins there, you can see they're going green and fairy. That is behind the ISA slots there, and that is the area where they really don't work. And I would suspect that the lithium battery has leaked, it's gotten in there, and it has just eaten everything. Now I can try cleaning it off with alcohol, and I'm going to try and get this thing going, but in the meantime, we'll run a new board. And if I do repair this one, then we'll just swap the board out and probably put this one back in, because I don't want to lose that board, I have to be honest. And if you're wondering about the plate that it's lived on, let me have a smell of this thing, hang on. Jeez. Oh god, that does stink. Oh, there's something else there. I don't actually know what that is. It's like a sort of browny, reddy coloured line. I don't know if you can make that out on the camera. Let's try this. Sounds like it's quite good, this, for a little £5 webcam. I don't know what that is. That looks pretty nasty. There's a random stick of RAM in there. That's not supposed to be there, is it? Where's that come from? I don't recognise that. That's part of. Oh, it's EDU. That's no good for this then. That's why I don't recognise it. Yeah, that old motherboard, it'll get a box. We'll box everything up when I'm done with this. For now, it's going to go under the desk. These plastic things, I'm not sure what these were put in for. These were there when I got this case. And this case and me actually date back before this thing. That was a case the Pentium, the old family Pentium machine used to be in until the motherboard kind of went shaky and that. And I've still got that motherboard because it was only the real-time chip filled, and everyone's going to never repair it. I'm like, look, I'll repair it in the future. When I find that board, I will repair it. So yeah, this thing always seems to be like the machine of new beginnings. Whatever's in that case. So maybe it'll do that again. Maybe fate will have it that when I replace this board, something new and exciting will happen. Maybe that's just limited to the machine will work from. Okay, well, we've got a manual there. This is probably the most expensive 486 motherboard I've ever bought, I might add, for this fucking thing. See how much I care about it. It's weird how you get kind of attached to your possessions that way. This motherboard here, yeah, I'll leave the static sheet. There's some point who could criticise me, I don't care. And that is our new motherboard, right there. And you might notice we've already got a CPU in there. It's only 33 megahertz. I'll have to put a 40 in there. That's not fucking good enough. VLB, that's going to stay set up for a lower speed CPU, so we'll be overclocking the VLB a little bit. It's going to be an angry little thing. And those were jumpers that were absent from the old board, so I don't know what setting it was fixed in. And I didn't have a VLB graphics card that worked for quite some time, so I couldn't really tell. And I don't know if I did that on camera or not, but I've just ripped that Trident out of that slot. That's what I was using to test it. That seems to have packed up now, so that old graphics card from this 486 will go to the 386, as I said in an old video, and this thing will, well, it's going to fucking live on pretty much with this new graphics card I've bought. Let's get the new graphics card. It's very, very nice. just point this out while I'm here. There we go. That is the new graphics card. That's VLB, so it's a performance card, and it has a Sang Labs ET4000 W32P on it, which they used for PCI cards as well. So it is a very fast chip for DOS games. Has no 3D acceleration or anything, but that's not what it's for. So it should give us a 100-point advantage over the old one on average in top bench, and that should translate pretty nicely to the real world as well. This manual, I'm not going to spend a long time messing with it. I might have to refer to it for jumpers because this board doesn't have the same print, but there's a little appendix there about installing Cyrix M1s, and it tells us that to do that we have to modify a resistor array that's between the VLBs. So look how clean and shiny that is versus that old motherboard. Tell you what, new motherboard, you might not like being planted next to this thing, but that's tough shit. It's your sister, so you'll have to get used to it. This thing, well, this does have long cache slots on. You can see they are the same motherboard, basically. This just seems to be a cheaper version. Some of them didn't have socketed cache chips. This one does, and yeah, it's the same motherboard in effect, but there's a few jumpers missing. This one has cheaper components, and yeah, that is, as you can see, filthy, especially that second to last ISA slot there. I don't know what happened to that. That just looks like it's going rotten or something, and there's hairs and dust all over this board. So that one there, that new one that's branded Aquarius, so I know who claimed to have made that one, is a lot nicer and shinier, and it does seem to work properly in the limited testing I've done, but I couldn't get my spare floppy controller to work. But that is well kept, and an advantage to this one is the fact that, to my knowledge, it never had an onboard battery. So there is, and if it did, somebody cut it off a long time ago, because there is no trace that any battery has ever leaked on this board. So there isn't even circuitry for an onboard battery. Those traces don't go anywhere except the ground one. Like, you can follow the power trace it goes to where there are diodes and resistors on the other board here. There aren't any here, so the current could not possibly go anywhere as far as I can tell, unless they go to another layer in the board and they just took those out to remove the costs. But that jumper there, which you would use pins 2 and 3 to set the internal battery, there isn't even a pin 2, so that also tells me there's no internal battery ever intended to be on here, and that you use pins 1 and 4. 1 is positive, 4 is ground, and use an external battery. 3 volts, 6 volts probably work. The chip has a pretty broad amount of power you can put through, but we are at the low end of it at 3 volts. I think the bias chip, interestingly, the socket's a bit longer on this. It doesn't seem to be on the other one, it's just the length that it requires, and the oscillator is a little bit different looking on that. There are 2 extra pins on the end on the other board, so it's definitely the same layout. And looking at, you can see they don't have the keyboard controller, neither did the other one. I've only ever seen a picture of one with that, and so there are subtle differences, but certainly the same board. I imagine maybe this was a reference layout from UMC or somebody, because a lot of them were sold with like this big, UMC green CPU branding all over them. They have a UMC chipset, so I suspect UMC maybe sold this design, and it was just customised and rebadged by different makers. They always have these yellow jumpers as well, so that's what I believe from the little research I've conducted. But lots of stuff on here is socketed. The little chip behind the BIOS there is also socketed. Chip over in the far end of the board there is socketed. This one has a voltage regulator and it's actually heat sinked. It looks to be legit as well. This one's made by Sharp instead of Wan Hung Lo like the old one. And this one does have a heat sink on it, which isn't very substantial, but the old one's never overheated, and we have abused it, so I assume this one will be just fine. Better spec part anyway. So yeah, very customisable board by whoever puts their label on it, by the looks of things, and very customisable to the end user. And we shall tweak the settings on it in a little while. I have to get that fucking standoff back now, or find one to steal. Have a quick check on my desk. I've got the spare one right there. Well, that will do the job nicely. We'll have to stick that in there. Looks only it's the wrong thread size. You can actually see like a round shape around there. Around that where my fingers were when I was still a teenager. Yeah, that the thread does not feel right in there, if I'm entirely honest. Probably been slightly damaged at some point. I doubt I was in a good mood when I was in this case a decade ago. And that standoff does not want to go in there, so I'm guessing the thread is too thin on it. That's unfortunate, but that's the way things be. Ah well, I'll have to get the old standoff out. Shouldn't be too difficult, I just need a pair of pliers. I might be able to do it by hand. And unfortunately I'll probably have to leave the camera just sitting there again for a minute, unless you want to look at me sideways like that. That's about the best I can do. Yeah, not great, is it? That's as best as that camera will do by the looks of things. You're not going to see much. Well, I don't know, I can maybe angle it at the board. It's on an angle, but it's better than now, isn't it? Bit of movement, I suppose, in this transition. Pliers. Now, what did I do with my pliers? I'm trying to get it out by hand first. No, I'm not getting it out of there by hand. I don't think. Oh, maybe. No, that's... Ah! I flattened the end of my thumb. Yeah, I'm not getting that off there like that. That's the one thing I didn't put aside, pliers, and that's going to be the one thing I need. Very well. Well, I shall locate some pliers. That shouldn't take me very long at all. Pliers, pliers, pliers. Where are the pliers? Let's have a look. If I've got to find pliers, I'll just go and pillage an adjustable spanner somewhere. Oh, that'll be ruined now. That's probably not the best way around. Pentium 2 machine, eh? Yeah, I don't have my Pentium 2 out at the moment, unfortunately. I keep meaning to drag that out the back of the cupboard. They're pretty versatile Pentium 2s. You'll be able to play a hell of a lot of stuff on that. Slowing them down for all the games is a bit tough sometimes, though. But yeah, things like, you can play stuff like Keen on it, play Doom will definitely work, Quake should work quite well actually, and pretty much anything really, from early 90s to late 90s, especially if you've got AGP. That's that standoff, that's all I wanted. When I put the standoff, I did it in the wrong order. I was supposed to put the motherboard down there and the standoff over here. There we go. And I'll tighten the standoffs that are already here, just to make sure that they don't decide to spin loose anytime soon. Oh, I can move that back now, can't I? There we go. What am I looking at? Oh, that's about right. So those can get just about a little bit of a turn, just to be sure. That one was pretty loose. And that one is very, very loose. I could have just done that by hand. There we go. And that one was tight. In fact, that one was way too tight. Mostly Doom and Quake. Yeah, well then, that should be pretty epic. I wouldn't imagine there'll be problems running those at all. It should blister through that. Let's put Doom on this one, I think. Put them in the shower though. Standoffs. So where are the standoffs? How many standoffs? It's that way, isn't it? Let's see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 screw standoffs visible, and the motherboard is catching on something. Probably those plastic things. I don't know how to rip those off, but they are definitely pressing on the back of the expansion slots over there at the back corner. So I'm going to have to chisel one of those out. And let's see, standoffs. We need the top hole there. There's another hole in the centre between the slots. And there's a hook. Okay, 4 standoffs. Well, I have 2 standoffs that actually have a notch on the back, and I have a bunch of them that don't. So you just have to be careful with placing them. So let's see, standoffs. These were pretty neat, these things, but I understand why they stopped doing them. I don't think they'd hold the weight of a newer board very well at all. Did I leave the old one in? I did leave one in there, didn't I? Oh, and it's between the slots. That's not going to be... Yeah, that standoff I've got to get out is down there. That's not going to be easy. It's not going to be hard either, it's just going to be mildly tedious. I'll try and just get it with a screwdriver, but if I aren't careful I could fuck up a trace on the board. I'll use the back of the slot to wedge it on. Because I can't get much purchase on it because I can't like lever my knuckle against the back of the board because the pins are quite sharp. There we go, that's one notch out. Right, there's corrosion on this side, this old board as well. Bloody things. It was a downside to these, they weren't easy to get out without breaking them. That should be it. It might look a bit ugly when it comes out, but it will be out. One used standoff. There. Let's have a look. That one can go in there. So the ones behind the expansion slots will have the notch. The ones that go elsewhere probably won't. Which is a bit unfortunate, but it's the best I can do without buying more. I suppose I can always open it up and just patch them up at a later date. But they should offer it adequate support. Now I'm going to have to chisel that plastic thing off. I can't imagine what that was used for. It looks like you could put a tie wrap through there. Maybe that was for cable management. Could be. Yeah, I don't have a worry of wiping my old fingerprints off of this. Actually, that's not a fucking fingerprint. In that corner there, that's a handprint. My hand's actually slightly larger than it was back then. I obviously haven't finished growing yet. That's probably from doing something like this, considering how my hand's placed on it now, and it's leaving a similar print. It's been stuck to there since 1995 or something. I feel kind of bad for pulling it off, but well, don't have a choice. Probably pushed the old board out of shape. There we go. It's just double-sided, so you can easily stick something back on there. Camera cables on my nerves. Right, fucking fix that. Where's the tape? There's the tape. That's not electrical tape, but it doesn't need to be, does it? I'll just tie that cable out there, because it like keeps falling across everything. Pentium 3800. Extreme paint roll. What fucking extreme paint roll? Oh, that's like the best game ever, isn't it? Was it? Oh no, I think it. No, what was the opposite of best? lose the stand? It did. No, it's that bottom one, isn't it, where the falls like longer one though. The problem with these standoffs, they tend to fall, the whole thing tends to fall through the hull. It's not too bad on a machine like this where you can remove the back plate like I have, but on the ones where the motherboard mounting is stuck inside the case, oh, that standoff fell out again. I just realised I put one of them in the wrong place. That would be the one that's between some slots, wouldn't it? Standoff, come out of there. Don't want to put too much stress on the board. Shame that little camera is not a bit more versatile, really. Go with a cameraman or something. Right, that should do that. Rocks on that, so it's not vastly important, but where's that ball? Where is it? Think I've got it? Looks like I've got it. Feels like I've got it. Yeah, looks like I've got it. Now the board's not feeling twisted anymore, so I don't know why that particular plastic thing was causing it problems. Oh no, bloody big rigs. It just gets worse. I don't need big rigs. I like that, in defence of big rigs, at least the theme music in the menu for that is actually kind of catchy. It is. I'm not sure I trust that. Yeah, it's got solder mask on it, hasn't it? It'll be alright. Big rigs, where driving in reverse is the fastest thing in the world. I won't own a car, but if I ever get one, I'm going to have to try that out. It's not lining up with those others. I think the screw's a bit loose, so I can jiggle it around and get it in place. The hole's on the back edge. What's going on here? I am stripping down a 486, or I've already stripped it down, replacing the motherboard. I'm going to replace that CPU in a minute because that was just in this new motherboard for testing. Then I'm going to put it back together and actually set up the operating system and everything on there. Well, assuming I have time. I should have time to get reasonably far with it. And of course I'm just blabbering on about the hardware while I'm doing it. Right, that should be about right. I have to change the bus speed for that CPU and replace it with the 40 MHz model. Should be around here, and the RAM I want is already in here, so buying an EverDrive for the NES. Extreme Paintball music, it's the bomb. EverDrives. Yeah, I got an EverDrive for the Mega Drive. I've never looked back from that actually. They're pretty nifty devices. Ah, there we go. Let's get that CPU, 40 MHz, just like the old one. I have another one actually. I got the U5 SX labelled one right there. I wonder which one I should use. Another Sopa 33, Super 25. And what else? No, we've got a U5 SX33. They're identical as far as I can tell. Performance wise they certainly are. Everyone has one of those. Those are boring. I'll tell you what, while I'm in here I'll see if I can work. There is something pretty cool in the bottom of this box, but I don't know how much anyone else will find it interesting. I find it interesting, but I haven't had a chance to test it yet. Hard drive, I've got a bloody hard drive in here. 60 gig. It's out that Dell laptop, that thing. It's really useless. Stick that in a Pentium 1 or something on an adapter. Now it's knackered. I wouldn't even insult the Pentium 1 with that little hard drive. Yeah, this is something in my box of stuff. Body to look more like Duke Nukem. Yeah, I considered doing that, but it seemed like way too much work. And I think you'd probably need a lot of steroids to look like Duke Nukem, which is generally frowned upon. Yeah, that's in the bottom of that box. Because I've never actually mentioned it. It did appear once, but the interesting bit is those 4 characters there before the 1M. It's a qualification sample, so it would not have been publicly available. 200 MHz Pentium Pro. I'll have to get a motherboard for that at some point, but I'll probably sell it on at some point in the future. Actually, I'll probably get rid of quite a lot of what's in the box at some point in the future. I'll build a new bloody workstation, and that should add nicely to it. And I've got a collection of them that don't work as well, so ones that don't work, I'll just recover the gold from them, because they don't work. It's not worth keeping them. I have one of the same models that do work, so I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by doing that, but there's probably people out there who don't agree. Yeah, this socket's weird. It doesn't move back. The pins underneath move that way when you pull the lever, and it's very, very stiff. It's clearly not designed to move back. It's a very unusual socket. I've never seen one like that. Oh yeah. Yeah, because when I get round to installing Windows on this, we're doing it legit, because that's what Microsoft sells Windows disks like, I'm sure. Actually, that's a good point. I never did think to find the beta site ID for that. What was it? 11069? No, I don't know. What I can do is recite the Windows XP serial number without having to look it up. No shit, I actually can remember it. But I can, prove it. That's me. I can't see out. XP8BF, F8HPF, PY6BX, K24PJTWT6M. And if you actually type XP8BF into Google, it should complete that field with what I've just said. It's a useful talent to have, I need to install Windows XP today. Get rid of the little serial thing. I'll just use my corporate key that isn't legit. Yeah, that's another board on there. I'll have to up the bus speed for that particular CPU to 40 MHz. So this one thing with these SXs is they do tend to, the faster ones do use a higher bus speed, so if you can run it stably, it makes up for the lack of FPU a little bit. This thing will take quite a wide range of CPUs, but let's see, we support Intel 486SX, SX2, DX, I don't have an SX2, DX2, DX4, 3.45 volt, P24D, P24T, Cyrix, SX, DX, DX2, DX2V, 80 MHz uses 4 volts, DX2V50, V66 uses 3.6, the M1 SC 3.6 volts, which is what the appendix is for because it wasn't called the 586 yet. And that tells you have to mod a resistor array, and I probably will mod it. Just take it off and make it socketed. Oh, it is socketed! It's socketed already! This must be a late revision of the board then. It says right on the little appendix sheet there. And it's the only 8498 I've ever seen that does it, so it's pretty interesting. The other one can run them, but it doesn't recognise it. It's right on that paragraph there. For Cyrix 586, Cyrix DX4, RP16 resistor networks on the bottom between Visa slot 1 and 2 has to be modified from 4.7 kiloohms to 330 ohms. Other CPU still uses 4.7 k ohms. And revised jumper settings. Windows XP serial key. Everyone's got that serial key, but Yeah, so I'm assuming it's that socket, yeah, RP16. So between those two slots there, so I'm guessing 1, 2, 3, it goes up. It doesn't say. Well, no, it says MCA1, MCA2, MCA3. That's weird. MCA, I thought it was microchannel. This isn't microchannel, it's VLB. But yeah, it's socketed. I can just order a new resistor array, pull that out, stick a 586 in there, see what happens. The bus speed, that one. Oh, that is printed on the board, so I don't need the manual. There's no so much hissing that I can hardly hear. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Welcome to the realms of Windows 7 and what it does to your sound cards. Let's have a look. 50 megahertz, really? What was that? 40. On, off. And these are notoriously printed backwards, so by that, you have to know to take the first one off, not the last one, as far as I'm aware. The 14, 15, 16, if I look those up, the 654, it is in reverse on this one as well, not just the old one. Yeah, I know, I'm not happy with the hissing, not happy with the audio quality overall, but before it used to pitch it down about half an octave, so you know, it's the lesser of two evils. And of course I'm just amazed my internet hasn't died yet. Chasm the Rift. I don't know on that one. Chasm the Rift. I never heard of it. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. This thing sort of maxes out on that CPU, on this U5S Super 40. The limit is somewhere around early FPS, Dark Forces, Duke 3D at lowest resolution. Never do quick. You can do System Shock, does that okay, surprisingly. I tried it. I suppose I could always try and track this Chasm the Rift down, because I will have network functionality when this is done. Audio's okay. Well, it's hit and miss. I mean, I can hear the hissing through my headphones, so there is a hiss here getting in somewhere. I suppose it could be on the lining. I could try turning the lining down, but I don't know where the. Oh god! Welcome to Windows bloody 7. Hit Windows 7. Okay, mute that. Mute that. Oh, better not mute that now. It's a microphone. Unfortunately. Oh, great, that's not good. The amount of bloody windows I have to have open to do this. Right. Okay, it's ready to go back in the case, I think. I don't think there's anything else I need to do to that. But I'm going to get the soldering side of things out the way first. I don't have to solder anything on the motherboard. I just have to modify my little battery box for the CMOS. Yeah, it probably is. I'm going to have to check that out and see what it's all about. That little screwdriver. That would be there. And I'll hook the iron up so it's getting hot already. And what have I done with the solder? Solder was when it was there, but it's not there now. Brilliant. That's going to annoy me if I can't find it. And yep, the whole screen didn't just go black, so I'm guessing I've swapped that plug out with the right thing. Right. And stay there. I'm going to have to find that solder. It'll be just around the corner, I think, from where I am. Let's have a look. That's what we do with that solder. Some random garbage off the floor that came with it. And new wire. And I knocked some off it, but I'm guessing it wasn't anything important. Brilliant. Right, and I forgot to put that jumper back. Should run 486, 16 meg of RAM and Windows 98. Yeah, we've got 16 meg of RAM and we do have a 486. Is that SX or DX though? That's the big question. If it wants a DX, then we might have trouble. No floating point units on this. Could add a CPU that had one, but yeah, bloody hell, that's what I get when I'm not looking at what I'm doing. Now what is that iron? Yeah, early 3D there's something intriguing about. They had a few in Ultima Underworld as well, which unfortunately I've never got to because I'm absolutely terrible at that game. I can't even get out the first room without a walkthrough. This thing has not really been opened in a long time. So there could be battery acid in this box. It could just be a box of battery acid by this point. But it's not. We still have the cheap, nasty Maplin brand batteries in here. And yeah, no leakage. My wires won't come through though because of that electrical tape is on them. There we go. Not like it. Thinking of putting Windows 5. Yeah, Windows 95. It seems to be about right on a faster 486. I wouldn't do it on anything less than 66 megahertz though. And this thing's getting a beta version of that. It's in Windows bloody Chicago, build 73. Yeah, it's quite easy to tell which one goes where because I can actually see the batteries on these. Iron. Probably not hot enough yet. I'm going to take this opportunity while I wait a few seconds for that to warm up properly to roll a cigarette and wonder where the hell I've put my bloody lighter. Well, that's disappeared off the face of the earth as far as I can tell. Wonderful. Well, I got matches. I should put some on that chair really, because I quite like that chair and I don't really want to be burning holes in it. Yeah, oh, that'll do. That's worthless enough to the world. I don't think anyone will begrudge me for accidentally burning holes in the front of that. I'd still rather not, but I'm not going to be too mad about it if I do. My solder work was not very good back then. Hopefully these are nice and wide, so. And it looks like a previous failed attempt at the back there, because those don't go anywhere, those. As far as I can tell. If they do, they're going straight up in the middle of the battery packs, and it just doesn't seem like it to me. And it doesn't want to, I'm going to set them batteries out, because I just... There's not a lot of things that I'm frightened of, but batteries is one of them things that I am. I have to be honest. I don't know that much about them, and therefore they worry me. That's what I'm most scared of, is what I don't know. Windows 3 one. Well, yeah, it feels more natural to run that on a 486 reborn. I mean, this thing's from about 1995, so it's kind of questionable which one should be run on it. It was part of the reason I've left it with Chicago, because it is like halfway between the two, in fact. Well, solder does not want to melt. Come on, I know my iron's knackered, but... Well, we're melting the battery box. Up, there it goes. Come on, you stupid piece of wire. Ow. Oh man, I remember when the strip board we bought used to smell like that. There we go, that's got it. Huge blob of solder on there. Yeah, Windows Chicago. It's pretty fun getting that operating system to do a lot of stuff, like trying to get it to network. Because I don't think Microsoft ever intended for the user to network it. So you have to, like, it does have TCP, but it doesn't work, so you have to install the one from Windows 3.1, which doesn't work properly. Yeah, it's got character though, that's... Yeah, I've seen people solder batteries before. It's not something I've ever had any desire to attempt. That's the negative terminal, isn't it? The one that has the spring, so that'll be the white wire there. Just twist that together. Got tints, I think, that's on there. Ah, that's still hot. Doesn't really matter where it gets soldered to, we'll just solder it straight to the bottom of the board this time. There's no point in trying to be clever with it. Feed it back through the holes, moves in the box, gets the job done. That's all that matters. And I didn't need my solder after all that, because there was plenty enough on here. No, it doesn't want to fucking stick to that, does it? Stupid thing. Let's try the other side first. I'll come back to my cigarette in a moment. Try that light again. I do have a solder sucker, but it's a bit worn out at this point. I think water got in it or something, because every time I move it, all this rusty looking stuff falls out. And I opened it up and it's just a fucking mess in there, so I don't know what's happened to it. I just found it like in the kitchen the other day, so I don't know. Still molten. I've been told you're not supposed to blow on the solder like that, but it's never given me any trouble. It doesn't matter too much for something like this. It's not, no data goes over here obviously, so didn't have a holder handy. Yeah, well I wanted to buy a new one for this, but when I went to buy one I forgot what I was buying it for, and I'm like, well, I'm not wasting money, so that's why I've had to reuse this one. I don't have a multimeter to test this, unfortunately, so we're just going to have to assume my connection is good. Tiny little dab of that, because that iron's completely dry and that's not going to be helping it transfer heat with anything at all, is it? Tiny little dab of it just to help it get the heat into the solder, that's all we're going there. There we go. Now the whole thing starts breaking apart. I think I did these with a 200 watt iron that was designed for like soldering like 100 amp mains cable together, which is probably why it's so ugly from the old job that was done on it. Well, that was a lot harder than it needed to be, and I had to put heat on that for a lot longer than I should. But it should be okay, that should work. Ow! Bloody hell, yeah, that terminal's hot. Right, now to remember that iron's hot. And unplug it. There we go. Let's hook the plug somewhere so it doesn't fall off and drag the iron along with it. That would be an absolute fucking disaster. And yeah, that seems to be wired the right way. I'm still not pleased with the solder work on the ground side of things, really. It should be alright. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, we only went and forgot to feed the wires through the hull. Hopefully I'll have enough space to do that. Or else that was a completely wasted effort. Right. Ah, that's good. Well, it's not breaking apart, so it can't be that crappy, can it? Now I can relight my cigarette because I've got an end back. Stupid lighter. Well, that was a fucking tedious task. But it's over now and I can start putting the machine back in one piece. And undoubtedly something will go horribly wrong, because it always does. But that's just the way things go, and if that does happen, then I'll just have to sort it out when it goes wrong, won't I? And something just fell over in there. And quite a lot of those old mismatched screws will not be going back in here, so even screws are going to get replaced. And yeah, this board doesn't have the backplate for it. Doesn't have the individual notches for each card. Apparently, never noticed that before. Well, I probably did and forgot, but right, yeah, these were not fucking following. Wait, to get in. Wait. I might have to take the RAM off the board to do this. I don't want to try forcing it in there. But then I have to put the RAM in that way, so best way to do this. What is the best way to do this? They're all different, these things. Every case has its own intended way of being put together. I might have to take those pieces out the back, or just press on them so that they'll fit between there and there. So, yeah. That's all it needed. Yeah, we're going to get horrible glare on that. Anyway, that's the board back in. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, there would have to be a little notch there, wouldn't there? That's alright. Cheat. Just sort of wedge it over it. Should be alright. Yeah, it is. Just fine. I don't think that's how they intended me to put it. The camera seems to have zoomed in somehow. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. The zoom control's still at 0 on here, because I can zoom in, crap digital zoom like that. I can do a few other things with it, but they're all pointless. I can grayscale it. Bloody hell. Well, this thing's supposed to be like from New York or something, you know? Of course, we say that, then install Windows Chicago. Get some taste from me. I'm having a drink of water. Put that there anyway to counterbalance that. Get this done and I can start putting the cards in. And I'm quite intrigued by the fact I did apparently connect the ground wire. Yeah, there's a delay on the stream because I have already put my cigarette down. I think that was like a minute or so ago. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, indeed. I've just learnt to assume that everything that can go wrong probably will. Usually does. I've had the power supply out of here already, by the way. That is clean, so I won't be dismantling that. I hope that was the drinking water I just drank. It tastes alright, but that's like the 7-Up, because there's no way around here to get rid of like the ethylene glycol based coolant that's in the workstation. So I've got like a bottle full of that somewhere. It's an old like Sprite bottle, so I'm like, every time I pick up a bottle of Sprite I have to like sniff it like, this isn't the glycol, it's just like antifreeze. You know, you fucking drink that stuff, it's gonna end pretty badly, I would imagine. I have to untie my little camera cable to get it in where I want it. Well, let's see, this bloody camera is a nuisance. Right, so I'm going for that corner there. I have to start connecting jumpers up, which in this they're not quite as well marked out as they were in the other one. Right, we'll test the batteries first. If there's like a weak join on the solder, it's going to cause all manner of problems. And I want to check the pinout in the manual just to make sure that I'm not going to be connecting this the wrong way. So what did I do with that manual? I want to put it far away. You can tell I'm not very organised when I do this stuff. I just kind of put things to one side and then bring them back, and eventually they get further out of my reach and I forget where they've even gone. Possibly underneath there, I suppose, but it doesn't feel that way. How did it end up back there? It's like beyond the workstation. Sound card. I'm probably gonna rob the Sound Blaster Pro 2 out of the other 486, the AMD one I have, because that motherboard in that seems to have packed up in that one as well, but I don't care about that one enough to really bother replacing it, so probably just going to get either fixed if it's something simple, or parted out for something else, possibly sold by this point. Right, battery. Consulting the manual, you see. I think glycol flammable. It possibly. I've never tried to set fire to it. The alternative to the Pro 2, by the way, is a Sound Blaster 16, which I'd borrow out the K5 and just order another one for the K5. They're 1740s, cheap enough. But I kind of like the idea of having Pro 2 in here. Seems a bit better for a lower power 486 like this one. Actually, this does give the 100 a run for its money. That U5S is pretty silly on the performance side. Yeah, pin 1 is positive. Thought as much. I don't know what to call it with batteries. It's not like, you know, live, neutral, so it's like, what, positive, negative. Well, is it negative? Because I don't think there's any power on it, so I don't think you get negative half whatever voltage the battery's rated at. When did these go off anyway? The 9th, 2011. Oh well, they should be good then. I'm sure those will work just fine. Right, now let's make sure. Oops, don't drop the battery holder in there, that's going to cause problems. Yeah, I'm not gonna be burning ethylene glycol, but I do have something else to burn. Actually, what have I done with that stuff? Well, there's a bit of it there. There was. Yeah, I'm gonna have a bonfire soon, because that's magnesium. I think that'll go up pretty nicely. I've got two of those, big sheets of it. The bottom of a laptop, and the other half of a laptop, and a few other bits. Yeah, magnesium's pretty good. The downside is you don't want to have to put it out, so you better be sure you want to burn it before you burn it. Now this might smirk. If I've done that joint too weak, anything could bloody happen. Well, nothing's gone bang. It's only a battery, right? Batteries aren't getting hot, are they? Nope. The R32, I don't mind the R32. I don't actually have one around though. I've only got an R64 now. I've got a gold value and one missing, presumed never to be seen again. So yeah, I don't know where that one's gone actually. That is a bit of a problem. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. The EMU8K synthesizer on it is alright when it's used properly, but there's very few things I think use it properly. I've tried writing music for it before. Make some decent enough noises with it. It's better than the MC32 anyway. I don't get on with that thing. It's doing the easiest way. Yeah, that's my intention with the magnesium. I'm going to take my lump hammer to it of something with a hard angle on it, probably just this triangular length of wood I have, and I'll just bash it into little pieces, start a nice bonfire, and leave it in the bottom of the bin. And I'll probably just get a fan out and blow air into the holes in the bottom of the bin, so it increases the temperature. It should go up. I was going to wait till bonfire night, but I've got to move house before then, I think, so because these are getting knocked down where I am now, so I'll have to leave and go somewhere else, and I don't know where yet, which is quite annoying, so I'll probably have a major burning of rubbish before that. There we go, just screw it back together. There's no need to do that as such, but just stop it. Yeah, the 64 and the 32 are about the same. I think the R64 was, in some regards, you could consider it weaker because, just simply because of the the fact that it emulated the last 32 channels or something. CPU's clocked at 40 yep, 40 megahertz. This bus speed's at 40 as well, and we're going to be running it on a divisor of 2 if we can get away with it. I could on the old motherboard. This might well be the fastest 486 in the world with an X5 in it. You know, certainly be willing to bet at the moment it's going to be one of the fastest SX class 486s in the world. If this is as stable as the old board could be when it wanted to work, but I mean that old board is rotten as hell. Yeah, it's not bad in Duke 3D, the ore. It's alright at that. I quite liked it on Age of Empires, the version of Age of Empires 2 that had MIDI as well. I thought it sounded really good at that, especially that neat ninny bod track that didn't make it to the CD audio version. It does alright in Blood as well, but probably because it sounds quite paddy and the music in that's quite ambient. It's not as aggressive as most of the other games, and even then they're not too aggressive. Shadow Warrior is probably the most aggressive build games. 2 in 2K. Piece of cloth on there. What's that? Oh, that's for the 80mm fan in the front. Yeah, I've got an R64 Gold in the Athlon, which is, well, it's just right there. but the thing does rip you off with the SP diff, and I am willing to bet you can add that SP diff to pretty much any or value, because the traces are there. So if you knew what components to use, and you might have to do a bit of SMD work, but it should be possible. And now I can add my super mega awesome graphics card that I've got for this thing, my VLB ET4000 W32P. That should beat the shit out of things pretty nicely. It's made by STB. The bloke who sold me this does still have a few on eBay if anyone wants one. Yeah, Blood Sound Blaster 16. Maybe, could be, but I don't know. There's something about the FM sound, I suppose. A lot of people seem to like electronic. Yeah, no, fucking SC55. That's like the SCC1. Oh, no, Roland. Yuck. No, it does work. The SC55. That's Duke 3D's best with that, because that's pretty much what it was written for. It was made on an SC88 Pro. I had an SC55 years ago. I still have the SCC1, but that's in the K5. It's a piece of shit, really. Not especially if you're writing music for it, so I have to look at it from that perspective as well. It doesn't work that great for that. But then, you know, my background was with the Yamaha MU series, which was its rival, and so that possibly comes from that to some extent, that I was just never really going to get along with it. Blood does sound pretty good on the Yamaha MU, actually, and you can sort of get that sound without having a Yamaha MU. They're a bit harder to find. They're good for late Pentium 2 and stuff, later machines. If you can get one of these sound cards, a Yamaha 724 base card, that's pretty decent piece of kit. They did have SP diff out that actually works. Has good Sound Blaster emulation on that. In fact, I don't know, I think it's hardware assisted compatibility. But you can reroute the MIDI output to an XG synthesizer, which sounds like an MU80 with the sample rate reduced a little bit. Maybe a bit closer to the daughter boards they sold for other cards. These are quite cheap, but the reason they're good for P2s is because they have the SP link there. So mine came with a cable that I do have, but you can just cut up an old IDE ribbon, so it solves that problem of DMA and the interrupts on those PCI buses. Blackpool. Yeah, you know, I have thought about leaving Hull, because it is just getting worse. I'm actually arguing my ISP at the moment, because I'm getting less than 2 meg half the time, and that's like the legal requirement in this country. But the support man today told me that the minimum they're actually allowed to supply right here is 6 meg, so I have to call them back tomorrow because I've already had another disconnection since. He said if it went below 6 meg, I'm like, was that 0 now? Was that 4 when I was talking to him? But it's at 0 now, so I'll have to get an engineer out here. Well, I never connected those damn wires, did I? That's what I got the manual out for, and then put it away again. I do not make things easy for myself, do I? Fucking brilliant. What have I done with that? It's like bright pink and blue, and I can't see it. Hook up a MIDI cable keyboard to an 064. Yeah, you can use the keyboard as to play back MIDI. Use it as a tone generator. Yeah, you can do that. That's I've been using the 064 Gold to run the Casio, because the SW1000 I got in there's gone a bit dodgy. It doesn't like doing it, and I've misplaced the cable right now. So I only have the 15 pin to MIDI in, MIDI out leads now. And you can do more than one channel at a time with it as well, so yeah, it's actually a pretty good MIDI controller on it. I'm not showing DOS though, they had some issues. There's like an MPU emulator you can get if it doesn't work. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I don't know, but there is a piece of software for DOS that emulates an MPU Roland card on a Sound Blaster, and I've heard it does work reasonably well. I've never had to use it yet. I was surprised it didn't on the K6 because the Sound Blaster 16 was known to be problematic. I've never had any trouble. Did most of Dark Forces on the other channel using that. JP29 is key lock, and pin 1 is the LED. I imagine it does tell me, but I'm just going to ignore that and assume I'm right from the get-go, because that's bound to end well. And that jumper is actually knackered. Yeah, I've used the 064 to drive the MT32, but Police Quest doesn't like such a fast machine, so I used the AMD's sound canvas for that now. And I've used it to run the MU and the MT32 for writing music on, and of course Casio, CZ and RZ are driven from that £35 and 120 megabit. You lucky sod, I pay a minimum of 30 a month, and I'm lucky to see north of like 5 megabits average at the moment. In fact, I'm honestly really amazed my internet hasn't died tonight, because it usually does about this time. Looking ADSL2, and they don't enable AnnexN, so we've got less than a meg of upload as well. I'm like, I want me 1 megabit upload speeds, I can't get them. Yeah, JP28 speaker. Deep, if I connected that backwards, I bloody have, haven't I? Oh, I am. Is that? That's fucking weird, that. Those connectors are like the opposite way around. D1. That's turbo, isn't it? Ah, that's what that spare LED was doing. Should I leave that? Oh no, has my stream died? No! It should be back on now. Well, that's not bloody good. Right. I can't really check the Skype window, because if the stream's there, then everyone will... Well, fuck, it's the same username, isn't it? Yeah, is it? Well, I could have just asked on the stream, but it's faster to do that, I suppose. Yeah, it's back. Good. I don't know what that was about. That's kind of ominous. But yeah, let's get this Promise adapter in. I'm just realising now that bar's kind of moving towards an end of somewhere. So... yeah, what I got? I should have gone and raked out a bloody speed test while that was down. I'm not doing one right now because it'll probably wreck the stream. But I could have raked that out. That's all them old mismatched screws use up. It's time to unleash the bag of new ones. And see how light and cheaply built they are compared to the original ones. I won't get the bloody bag open. Yeah, I've got a feeling maybe I didn't set this stream long enough. Can you overrun on a stream? Does anyone know what happens if you overdo it? Does the stream just kill itself when it's had its allotted time, or does it keep going? I think it keeps going, doesn't it? Oh no, I'll find out soon enough. See, it's not working where I am, it's weird. But it should be, because I can see the bar moving out there. Yeah, it does seem to be working. I wish this thing would make its bloody mind be stable. Right, sorry for the disturbance in the audio, I was just checking that. I'm paranoid now, because I think my internet's like going to drop out. Where's it done? I hope I can get to the end of this bloody stream with it. Well, I'm not rushing, because if I rush then I'll end up doing a bad job or something. That's not what I came in here to do. So, the screws rub together apparently, so... Oh, what a wonderful bloody case this is. I think the case is bent, I have to be honest. That screw sits over both cards there. Next card is Ethernet or sound. We'll chuck the Ethernet there because the sound card has to be linked to the CD drive, so it makes more sense to put that one near the top in my opinion, so then the CD audio cable doesn't have to travel as far. And then I'll have to quickly steal the card from the 486, the other 486. I don't know, I should have known the Sound Blaster 16 and yet. No, it doesn't seem to have lost the foul smell that lingers around it after this, so yeah, we haven't lost that. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I might double-sided tape those batteries to the bottom of there so that they don't rattle around and they don't, if they do leak, they won't leak all over the machine, they'll just leak on the bottom of the case. Because that's something I see people do all the time, they replace batteries but then they'll put them up the top here somewhere because it's more convenient to them. There's a lot of empty space there. And yeah, that does seem convenient, but unless you intend to keep opening the machine up to check on them, it could well routing cables around, didn't I? I've gone and misplaced it. And a bunch of little hooks that I was going to use for that. Yeah, well, I can just come in and do the cable management another time. I'm not going to waste time looking for things. There's no point. Right, so the batteries can just sit in the bottom for the time being. Sound card. Yep, Sound Blaster. What do you call the fucking model? Pro 2 LMSI. Right, I'm going to move that. And leave it facing over there. Because I've now got to move this stack of stuff to get to, it would be that bloody thing there, wouldn't it? There. That can get work done on another time. Spare host adapter or ISO only, doesn't get much use. I've got Windows 98 second edition down there, and there's some 32 megs of FPD RAM, which was what might have gone in there, but I'm happy with 16 meg. I don't think it's going to need any more. I'll just upgrade it later. Oops. Power in. I'm going to do that. 386 lid's loose because it's still in the process of being upgraded. Going to have to double the size of the RAM in that because I'm determined to run Dark Forces on that. It says it will work on a 3860X, don't it? So we'll have to test that. And this cable's caught on something. On the gas fire, I think. Gas is disconnected, so it doesn't really matter. Just abuse the thing. Not like those residents coming in. That's where I'm going, is it? And I don't think that was that screw then. Oh, it was. Yeah, one of these is missing the case screw, so that's not nice for you, for everyone. I apologise. Yeah, I've robbed the Sound Blaster out of this one. Screw there for now. So I'm going to have to come back and open this thing up another time to try and find out what's bloody wrong with it. I'm losing my jeans, so I'll just hitch those up. Probably in this 486, if I get it working, I shall install the Opti 82C930, which you could argue would be more convenient in there because it has a CD-ROM controller on it, but I don't know. I like that 486 better than this 100 here, to be honest, which is why I bought that crappy dumpster one, the new motherboard, and not this. This motherboard will have to do with repairs. This one hasn't been eaten alive by leaking lithium batteries, and the back of it's not green, so it should be repaired. Well, it's probably just a capacitor gone or something. Or it might just be mucky. It's quite dirty, you know. Ex-military. Probably led a difficult life. Probably had things spilt on it or anything. I'm not trying to pick the all stack, but I remember carrying 4 compact Desperate Pentium 2 machines at once. Never do that again. So it was in agony for like 3 days after that. It was when I used to work at a place in town. It was not much fun. And I'm just making sure everything's still working. I'm still weary that it's going to start dropping out. Bloody thing. Yep, we're still operating just fine. I have to move that bloody camera now. Oh, this blooming thing. There we go. And then I have to flip that out of there. It's blurry, this camera. Cheap little trust webcam. You know, usually it's just for showing my face when I'm streaming gameplay on Twitch, but I can't do that now, so I can't even watch Twitch on this ISP. And that's the Pro 2 LMSI. It's out with the other 486. It can stay in here now, and I've crushed the little bodge wire on the diode there, but I think it had been bent over once before. Oh, you can input PC speaker noises on this. Well, I've got a wire for that. I might have to hook that up at some point, because that would be pretty nifty to do. But that's a job for another day. I'm not going to mess with it now unless I can see the cable. I can't see the cable, so yeah, that's not getting done today then. And I might have already installed it in something else. I could make one out of CD audio cable, I expect. Pretty easily. Yeah, come to think of it, I need a CD audio cable, don't I? Oh, I can't use that one. That one's been modified. That was used on an FM801 because that has a line out on it. It's pretty useless for Windows, but it's good as a DOS card, so you can wire it to the aux in on a better sound card. Have the best of both worlds. So you can have like an OBG2 for Windows and an FM801 for DOS. In a relatively modern machine, you can do it on that Pentium D with good results. Well, if I don't find this CD audio cable in a second, I will not be bothering putting it in just yet. Found it. It's the thing with doing a stream, I don't want to take too long getting shit done. Okay, get that wired up. Yeah, on the ISP side of things again, it's quite frustrating because there's only really one internet provider here. I mean, we do have alternatives, but they're all wireless, and of course there's inherent things in how wireless technology works. It doesn't tend to be capable of quite the same level of reliability that a wired service would be. And those slots are definitely a lot stiffer. Now I better check that is set up for IRQ5, haven't I? It's probably not. No, it is on IRQ5. Oh well, that's perfect. Everything else is set to the default ports. So no, it's had more of a bash than me knocking that diode over that. I couldn't have done that by accident. I don't know what's happened there. Maybe that's how it got here. I'll have to look back at the old images of it at some point. Yeah, that seems to be all the expansion cards, unless I was going to add an extra one. I should track down an LMSI CD-ROM drive now. I can install 2 hard drives. So I could just add another host adapter to do that, but that's a bit tricky to set up, because a lot of them aren't that well documented. Oh, that'll be a nice tight fit under there, that. Battery holder. That should look after itself. That shouldn't be able to escape. And of course, it's plastic, so it's not going to short anything out. If it leaks, it will leak into the box and into the bottom of the case, where it's not going to affect anything. So that is, well, I'll write that off as a success up to now. It's going too well. My old reference card for the cash jumpers on the old motherboard there. Well, it can stay in here. There's a memento of the old board, and I'll just pull it out if I ever need to set the old board up again. So I'm going to try repairing it. So I don't know who's around now, who was around before. I don't even know if the comment thing's still working, because if it is and people aren't commenting anymore, which is fine by me, I don't have an issue with that. It makes me wonder if I can actually refresh this, you know. I'm going to try it. I might be about to kill my stream. I shouldn't be doing that, because it wouldn't have anything to do with the page being loaded on it, would it? Yeah, actually, it goes a bit weird if you do that. It's pretty unusual. Oh well. Yeah, well, it's still running as far as I can tell. That's all I'm bothered about, really, for the most part. Yeah, I don't know who was here before, so I'm going to chuck that out there again before it gets towards software time. That's the back of the old motherboard, and you can clearly see a lot of that has gone green from lithium batteries leaking all over the fucking thing for way too long before I got it, and that seems to be what's done it in, because it's all over the slots that are noted to not work. And there's a nice new hard drive, well, nice new old hard drive, 6GB Quantum Fireball versus the 512 meg absolutely knackered, bought it for a pack of Richmonds. These are 3 compatible with Metsu. Oh jeez, my comments have just caught up, I think. So yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't replying to those. Windows 98 on a 486. I wanted to run XP on this thing. Just 622 Windows 95. I'm reading back, doesn't go that far back. Right, it's all out of order now. Running SSDs. Yeah, SSDs. I've run CF cards on a few things. Visa 3, Max 64. I'm not sure about that. I don't know much about the Max 64 because I never had much luck with that card. Like, I've heard they're meant to be pretty fast, but the only one I ever worked on was compatible with like NAFL. Kingston SSD, Hackintosh, Samsung 840 Pro, and the MacBook Pro has a second SSD, DVD drive, it's another Kingston SSD, Windows 8.1, oh bloody hell man, it's only 970. The only impressive thing I can say for modern hard drives is I use Western Digital Caviar Blacks in Raider on a dedicated controller with dedicated memory in the workstation, but of course the workstation's in trouble, hence the lack of videos recently. I mean, that's not what's streaming this. This has been streamed on some machine I've never really shown on the channel, and it ain't worth it. But that's coming out of that little black piece of shit box there. Because Intel were dicks when they got rid of that. There's so much of this. Well, that's not a problem. Yeah, welcome to the stream. And the angle's right. There we go. That is the right hard drive. That is the 6 gig and not the knackered old. Yeah, it's not the knackered old 512. That thing smells funny. It really does. Actually, that I've just noticed that cover. I don't know if I've picked up. That cover's loose. I can move that. Oops. It's no wonder this thing was like such a heap. It doesn't even feel right. It feels really rough, the surface of that. Down there with the motherboard that has gangrene. And I'm not going to cheat, I'm going to put screws on both sides of this, not just the one. But yeah, that's, you can work it out, that's the other PC speaker mounting option I was on about. Bloody hell, I have to keep up with these now. EFI booting Windows, oh bloody hell. Music shell disabled, yeah, you see I'm running Windows 7 on this, but it don't look like Windows 7 no more. I'll tell you what, I'll show you what it looks like. Only OS that boots on the Mac Pro EFI. See, I don't know anything about EFI yet. Let's have a look. This might go a bit slow, I'll forewarn you. This is what this machine looks like. This is Windows 7, but it don't look that much like Windows 7 anymore. Even the Explorer doesn't. That's what my Windows Explorer's looking like. Oh, we've got a menu bar there. Everything we need. And a memory stick that's probably full of porno. Yeah, I'm not really tempted to do that. I think Windows 8 requires a floating point unit. And yeah, it doesn't have one of those. I will possibly try XP at a later time though. That is a possibility. Because I've seen someone trying to do it on a 486 SX and I'm like, well, you have to kind of mess with this, see how slow I can make it, because this thing you can de-turbo the CPU to a ridiculously slow speed. Let's run like, what is it, 1/16, so 40 divided by 16. 16, 32, I'm not going to do that precisely, add 6 would be 38, so what, 2.5 megahertz. Now, yeah, WinTV 7, I can't do anything with that. That is just a useless piece of software, because you can't put an intensity in here. Because the intensity has an HDMI output, this motherboard detects it as a graphics card. And this motherboard, when Intel built it, is not really a fan of third-party graphics cards, so you are stuck with the Intel GMA, which does nothing. I can't even make levels for Duke Nukem 3D on this bloody thing. I had to do that on an Intel Atom with an NVIDIA IO, but that doesn't have PCI Express. And I didn't care because it was just built to be a web server, but to be fair, the little iron, it's always the shitty little cheap ones I end up liking. It's just like this thing. It's cheap and crap, but they seem to have this resilience that you can't help but admire a little bit. Right, we'll get in there. Issues with the pile driver. What kind of porn? Oh man, you don't want to know. That's the... My fucking... What's going on? The fucking page has moved. XP for that. Yeah, these comments don't come up in order, it's weird. They just sort of appear every now and then. Yeah, you see, I never liked XP, I have to be honest. It's I've always found it a bit dodgy, so I've always had to tweak that as well. Phenom 2 series, yeah, that's bad. It's a shame, because I'd like to see AMD do well again. Patch removes checks for kernel, makes it works to some extent. Windows 8 kernel to see patch. Yeah, and the what kind of porn, yeah. AMD pile drivers. Now you see, XP is... that's like a rumour, isn't it, that it might die. Like, that's 2015, I think it's meant to have, because that's when the security updates happen. Support for XP stops this year, but the security updates for it stop a year later, so that's probably what does it. I think there's like some embedded versions, like for point of sale machines, that keep getting support. But XP turned into the next NT4, because that was supported way too long. It had like 7 fucking service packs. And NT 3.1 1, isn't it? Or is it 351? The one that you got shell update, the first operating system to have a start menu. That had a bit of a long support cycle as well for what it was. Should have just chucked it and gone with NT4 a lot earlier. Microsoft. And I can't get a good angle on this for some reason. Piece of shit ready. Well, yeah, I mean, Microsoft have been honest. It's like Windows Live. If you flip the word live around, what do you get? You get the word evil. Now, Microsoft, I respect the fact they don't lie to me like Google. They just come straight out, yeah, we're evil, we're selling you a piece of shit, you're probably going to have to pay for more than once, and yeah, deal with it. I should have put that power lead on before I put that thing in there, really, shouldn't I? This isn't going to be fun. It's not a bloody ATX connector, and that's something I still don't get. I might add is why they put the power supply at the bottom of the case now, when the ATX standard pretty much defines it has to be at the top. So you have to run a cable about 50 million miles. Nikola Tesla would have a bloody heart attack if he saw that. That's it, I think I've got it in line. Power connectors are a bit tougher on this board, they don't feel absolutely knackered out like the old motherboard did. Let's look at the other blooming corrosion. Vista is better than XP, oh dear. Windows ME, yeah, that's weird. You see, Windows ME, I've got a soft spot for Windows ME. Windows ME's like, if you are willing to tweak it a little bit, it's actually very, very quick. There's that weird hybrid kernel in it. You can get like proper DOS mode from startup with a little bit of fiddling. So I don't know, I would stick up for Windows ME. It had the potential to be a good system, but you know, rumour has it Microsoft made it just to basically kill the Windows 9X line and flog us Windows NT shit. Pin out for the hard drive. Red goes on the right when the tag's on the top. As far as I remember, there's no key on the top of these cables. Vista, yeah, I can't remember when I first played with Vista. Probably would have been 2007, because somebody gave me a copy of it and got offended when I didn't like it. Longhorn, yeah, now you see, Longhorn did have potential. Windows 95 on an 1100T. Yeah, you probably wouldn't see the logo anywhere, like when it was starting up. I think the fastest I had 95 on was a Duron 950, but with compatibility issues, so I upgraded it to Windows 98. I didn't move to Windows XP until 2005. Yeah, you see, service packs did fix Vista. I think Windows 7 is just Vista with a service pack on, but I do find it slower than Vista. Yeah. And ME, like I say, it was a mixed bag. I find that you did have to tweak it and patch the DOS support back in, which was always there, they just disabled it. It's a bit like the stereo mix in Windows 7, that's because of the MPAA, isn't it? But fucking MPAA. Yeah. I don't know, Microsoft, we'll never understand Microsoft. That camera's not on a good angle, I wasn't paying attention, I'm sorry it's been pointing at nothing for the past half a year, but right, there we go. There we go. Oh no, I need to find a floppy cable, don't I? Right, that lead is not loaded, there is another one. It was a bit messy at the top of these things. I need to find a floppy cable, and I will just steal one out of this thing here, I think, unless I have a spare one. I might have one in that box there. Yeah, we've got a floppy cable, that one should work. And a Cirrus that I've pillaged for memory because it doesn't work properly. and a crystal sound card, and a few other bits and pieces. I think there's some spare cache chips in the bottom of here, as well as some ADO RAM. There's a couple of those in there. I want some 12 nanosecond cache chips. I'm going to have to try tracking them down. They turn up every now and then. Let's get some of those. Overclock this bloody thing, like 200 megahertz. Oh, that window snapping. Now that is awful. I haven't figured out how to kill that yet. Trying to install a drive, give me 10 minutes. Yeah, Windows ME's drive is a bit funny, I have to be honest. Launcher. I disabled it works for 8 years. Straight, no issues. Yeah. Just doing 7 with save besides, yeah, probably got that one. Oh yeah, but user account, whatever, that UAC, that always just makes me think of Doom. That is tedious as hell, and I've forgotten how to murder that. The operating system, I do find it very hard to use. Like, and I figured out what it is that it's not consistent, Windows 7. Like, if I go in the control panel and fiddle with, you know, I don't even know what the applets are called now, but there's like a million applets. But there's that thing with the you open one thing and then you close it, and I hit the close at the top right, and it closes the whole control panel because it opened in the same window, but then some of them still open the little applet, so, or open a separate window that opens maximised, so you never know what it's going to do. Yeah, I haven't played with Windows 8 a lot yet, so I can only go on what little I've had with it. Bluetooth. Is this Linux? Is this it, or just Unix at all? I don't do Unix. I don't know how it works. I dabbled with it years ago, but I used to run SUSE on a server a long time ago, but that got replaced with Windows 2003 because I needed the front page extensions, and they stopped supporting the thing they'd written for the what was I running? What fucking was it? Apache? Was it LAMP? I don't know. I can't remember by this point. It was bloody slow anyway, but I think that was mostly down to the crappy machine it was running on. I didn't have that thing for long anyway. I've been running a 386 as a server for a very long time. Yeah, I missed that thing. It was a good little machine. Right, that should be the hardware side of this thing done. Oh, that Mac Pro. You had to ask about that new Mac Pro. Really? Mac OS is based, it's all blooming Unix, it's all the same to me. It's just some blooming, oh bloody hell, we're 2014 now, innit? How old's that? Like fucking 40-year-old, that kernel now, innit? I ain't got nothing against Mac OS, I might add. There's nothing wrong with it, but in fact I've considered jumping ship to it. Right, let's try and get this thing wired up. Hopefully it should spring to life. Of course there is always that possibility it might just go pop and not work. Monitor. It's a bit difficult to do. Yeah, the shit I have to go through. This cable's knackered. I have to hold the cable there, right? It doesn't work. This is going to be bloody weird starting this machine without knowing everything inside it is completely flogged out. I'm going to have to get my keyboard and mouse over here for it as well, aren't I? Because it's not going to work without those. Power switch is off. won't screw into the thread for some reason, but yeah, it'll do the job. Okay, adapter is there. That should give me the VGA splitter so I can see what I'm doing. Need a Windows boot disk. And drop it in the floppy drive. What is that? That's top bench, that thing. Let's give it a might try that first before I do any operating system stuff. Power. Put stuff on top of my power cable, didn't I? Right, power cable. You come here and don't disappear again. Yeah. Right, let's see. That's powered. I'm going to drag that down like that. I'm going to have to minimise that. Not minimise that! Windows isn't anything new. Well, no, it's not. Well, the Windows NT file system, yeah, that thing's really dragging. That's about as old as I am, isn't it? It's about fucking 20 odd now. Bloody dreadful file system that. They need to come up with something better, because trying to do video with NTFS is just a bloody nightmare. You basically have to fragment the hard drive to make it actually work. It's the only way you can do it. So my RAID drives are constantly fragmented. I have no idea how well this is going to work. When I switch this on, it might not work first go. You know, the machine might, but it might not be visible until I've beaten the shit out of the software on this thing. And I'm not trying to get that keyboard out of there. I'm going to use my spare Keytronic one from down there. And put that there. Got away for now. Yeah, there's bloody CPUs everywhere. Oh, and a random tape deck for use with the Soviet machine. I can turn that lamp off now anyway, because it's doing my eyes in. There's my little Keytronic. Got a key missing. Yeah, bloody FAT32 was better, and Microsoft and them. NTFS, you fucking not a good file system. Never really was. And by the time XP came round, having to leave 15% of the disk free is a nightmare. Try that on a 2 terabyte hard drive or a 4 terabyte. I would imagine is even worse, because you're losing hundreds of gigabytes by that point. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do this on a larger view plane there. We'll get rid of the junk from on top of the machine. I'll try and move that webcam to somewhere where the machine's a bit more visible. It'd be nice to have it the other way so we can see the innards of it, and then if anything does decide to arc over, you'll be able to spot it. I don't think that will happen, but I think I'd better check. We've gone black to black. I've got the neck red to red. We're not effing dead. Monitor says no signal. Ah! Well, I think we're up. We're up. Cool. My monitor's pink. Hopefully what you will see won't be. Right, I'm guessing we can see the what I'm seeing there just fine. Machine is operating. I don't know if it supports drives this big. And there is going to be a lag between me, the camera, sound and stuff like that. Size. Ooh, I'm not sure we can do this hard drive in here. Oh dear. Well, we'll try it and we'll see what F-Disk says, I suppose. Some biases report false. Oh, that's smart. It only gives us the two things. Like resizer FS and X42. Yeah, I've never played with those ones. Okay, floppy drive. Oh, yeah, better check that isn't backwards, haven't I? Is it green light on all the time? No, it's not, so that's either just not working or it's been done right. Probably the former. Couple extra bias options here, and yeah, I forewarn you, I'm going to sit here and poke this around. I like to set my bias up nicely on these things, it's very important to me. Quick burst, yeah, C. I might as well sling the CD in now so I don't forget. Oh, it's got a CD in there. I wonder what's on that. HFS Plus is good. Bluetooth, oh geez, bloody Bluetooth, man. Numlock status, that can stay on, I suppose. System speed high, typematic rate, leave it at default, that doesn't change anything really. Cache all the time, write through, yeah, we can't change that to write back. Oh, this window's a bit different on the old one. I might have to go and replace the bias with the bias from my board. Because this isn't as versatile for adjusting bus speeds on this. And you know those weight states then will be a lot higher. But it should work with the bias from my other motherboard. Either way, turn it right down. That doesn't seem to be a jumper setting, so Ethernet work. I don't know about the Ethernet. There's no operating system on anything, so first things first, I want to try and boot a benchmarking program, see what kind of performance I'm getting. Well, it sounds like the floppy controller's doing what it's supposed to do. And apparently we've locked up, you won't be able to see the lack of Energy Star logo fading away. I'd be willing to bet that's probably the hard drive, it doesn't seem to get on with this one. So I had a 1 gig Fujitsu, I could have a quick look for it. Otherwise things might grind to a disappointing end, because I don't want to just chuck the old hard drive back in, it's knackered. But the Ethernet should be working, I don't really know at this point whether it is. No, not my Ethernet, I'm guessing. Right. Try this again. I'll turn the weight states down. I'm going to be very disappointed if I can't run this one at 0 weight states like the old one. I'll be rather mad if that's the case. Set everything to just a delay of 1. This new bias is a disappointment. And I'm going to have to go and cook my supper in a minute. Right. Well, this red thing's worked straight out of the box, I suppose. That seems to have got it. Yeah, this board's apparently not quite as stable as the old one. It's booting from floppy. Oops. Well, I might have a problem with the hard drive somewhere. 237. If all I can get is bloody 237, I'm going to get pretty mad. Well, let's see what we get. Oh dear. Well, that could just be the disc. It was a bit chewed. And to be honest, it has been in a machine that is known for chewing floppy disks. Of course, it's also possible that despite passing all the tests I threw at it, the motherboard's gone and died on me. It could just be quirky in a way that's different to the other one. Let's try and get the operating system disk to start up the boot disk there. And still wonder where my light was gone. It'll bloody turn up. Well, that's a mystery to me. And what exactly is the problem, machine? I want to know. Right, we will try. Disconnect the hard drive, disable the hard drive in the BIOS and see if that improves stability, as I'm figuring this is what it's taking offence at for some reason. I know there are no resource conflicts. And the machine does think it's 1995. The time's right though. Possibly because I switched it on dead on midnight. There's definitely something not right in here. Bloody thing. Strip it over and have a look. It was all bloody working when I tested it yesterday. Because I suppose the VLB could be more strict on this, but let's have a look. CPU jumper settings. I suppose I'd better get that back up for now. RTFM, read the effing manual, and we are using the U5S green CPU. 11 to 13 want to be straight down the middle, choose those ones, and 17 to 19. 17 wants to be that one. GP 17 is the two over there on 4. 18 wants to be there. 19 wants to be off. GP 35 needs to be open. Not sure where GP 35 actually is. I think it's that one there. It's not marked. It should be GP 35. I was surprised if it wasn't. Yeah, so between the two, it's that one. Needs to be open. Multiplier selection. Left it off on the other board. So that was GP20. GP20 is not documented on here apparently. Oh, that's nice. Really fucking good. 17, 18, 19, presumably that one at the bottom there, and that's all open. Voltage. Yeah, speed. 40 megahertz, it is set up correctly. 2 banks, cache. 7. 566K. Bloody hell, this isn't much fun. I have to get right into the image of the machine there. I never did reconnect the drive LED. Once we get little things like that, I'm not sure what's weird, but I believe it might just be that way around, given where things are from there. Let's have a look. 7 and 8. Those two are there. Those want to be on. And they look like they are, yes, they're on. GP10 wants to be, it's that way up, isn't it? GP10 wants to be the bottom two there, which it is. And GP9 wants to be across the centre, which it is. So the cache is set up properly. The VL bus GP on the other end is not technically correct. So I can clock that down. VL is a little bit sensitive to this stuff, as far as I remember. Flash ROM type, that's correct. VL bus JP21. CPU power is 5 volts. 14 to 16. I want to be, I'm not sure if those are correct. So move that way up. I want to be on the bottom, but looks of things now. Those should be in the right place. But then, according to the marking view, and JP 23, 32, that's weird. Should be 4 of them there, and they're all off. VL bus, JP21. Okay, that wants to be closed. I had a pair of tweezers for this, but I'm not sure what I've gone and done with them now. I'm not sure if I can get my end in the 21. Just remove the graphics card to get to that. If that doesn't work, I'm going to be pretty furious, I have to be honest. Could always try swapping the CPU out just to be certain that it's not that, because I haven't really used that CPU before. It's just identical to the old CPU, but maybe it doesn't work. And it's the old Super 33. Don't really want to be using that at this point. We're taking the standoff with the monitor cable here. Never good when that happens. Okay, take the graphics card out. Stupid lighter. On light, I want my cigarette, damn it. That's better. Okay, number 21, that's that one. Jumper can't be seen from there. Between two VLB slots, it's quite hard to get to. See there, I think I'm definitely going to need tweezers or something to get to that. or blue tack on the end of the screwdriver. That's blue tack on top of it, that'll do. Pardon me. There we go. Let's see how we do that. Battery holder can come out of the way for now. Graphics card, won't screw it back in yet. Probably only have to pull it out again when shit doesn't work. And yeah, the monitor cable doesn't want to bloody fit. Nothing's ever as easy as it bloody should be in this world. But then on the other end, if it was easy, it would be less rewarding when it did work, I suppose. And yeah, bit of progress with it, enough. I suppose the Ethernet card could have decided to latch onto an IRQ that's conflicting with something. Let's try this again. And what's the bloody problem with this thing this time? This is going to get tedious, isn't it? I might have to drop this soon because I'm getting tired and things have not gone as smoothly as they bloody should be. Something doesn't want to work. And normally everything did work before I put it together. So I'm unclear as to where the issue is. Try a quick reset. Yeah, there's something wrong with this machine, I think. Yeah, something very wrong with this box. It's not happy. And I'm stumped as to where the problem could be. I'll try pulling the drive controller or the Ethernet out or something. I'll remove the sound card. I'll see what that does. Because that's the only thing that's really foreign to it, I suppose. See if that cheers it up. If it is, then I'll have to figure out what's conflicting, because it shouldn't be the IRQ. I've set that to 5, so it won't conflict with the parallel port, but the Ethernet card might well be using that. So I'd have to run the configuration utility. Well, it's not the sound card. Yeah, it's the bloody RAM. It shouldn't be. The thing is, removing the drive controller, it's never going to start anywhere. Tends to boot if I don't have a floppy disk in. Okay, let's try that. Remove the floppy disk drive. Test the bias. Quick look in there. Yeah, that's frozen. Something to do with the CD drive, I suppose. So technically the cable's the wrong way around, but there's nothing I can really do about it. Try connecting the old drive to it temporarily, see if it improves its mood. There's a problem with having to run everything on one cable. Yeah, this is going to look a bit dodgy. And I'll push the sound card back in, and that'll be okay because the cable will insulate it, it's not going to touch anything. Check that hard drive okay. And it's still bugging out. I'm really not sure what's wrong with it. Well, I'll try a different CPU, but I'm not going to go much further with it tonight. Stream again, I might well do at some point. So there's a good possibility. But yeah, to anyone staying behind, I'm not going to be around much longer today anyway, so as far as I can be bothered today. I'm getting tired and I'm having issues getting this to run. There'll be something silly and I'll miss it because I'm going to be tired. I'll try swapping the CPU out before I call it quits for the minute. I'll bring that back while I rummage the box. That'll do. I mean, it hasn't been tested much, that one. Anyone want a 586? I'm going to try that in here, mate. These were 5 volts as well. Same chip, just a different number printed on it. U5SX instead of U5S. It must have been after they brought the DX out or something maybe. I still want to get a U5D, U4H60X. Yeah. Blooming thing. What is your problem, machine? You worked before all of this. Right, fine. Fucking last resort, drop it to 33 megahertz and play with stability another time. There's less flexibility in this bias, so I'll get the dump of the old bias. I will put it in a new chip rather than risk destroying any of these. And then I'll try that. There we go, we should be 33 megahertz now. Well, that's even bloody worse. I don't know, it seems to be something to do with the VL bus. There is another jumper for the VL bus which adds a weight state to it, and that jumper wasn't available on the old board and there was no option for it in the BIOS. Perhaps setting that to 0 weight states is just too much for what's in here. Because this is where we find out that crappy RAM and everything was in some respects better than this stuff. And that jumper's very hard to get to. It's another one that's between the two slots. So now I have to get myself in there with no tweezers again. I've still got the blue tack on the end of the screwdriver to use though. I'm sure that's a tool that every professional, like computer repair centre and whatnot, they all have like a screwdriver and a bit of blue tack stuck to it. I'd really be amazed what that comes in useful for. You can pick things up with them and move things around. It's pretty good for like static sensitive devices as well. You can use it, and for like installing SMD components while you're soldering them. Need to get the old jumper off. There we go. Yeah, that's my next thing, is to flip the memory out of there and try something else. I don't have that much FPD on hand though. To the jumper, but I don't give the screwdriver, so I think I've lost it now. Try and get it back. There we go. If this doesn't work, then yeah, it will be time to go after the memory. It flips the CPU back up to 40 megahertz for this. As I don't believe that to be the problem. I don't think 2 CPUs would have gone faulty without warning, and they both are identical chips, so it's not like the settings are wrong. I already checked that those are correct. I don't think the BIOS recovery time has been too shitty. Why is my thing moved? My window just jumped to the top. I suppose it's entirely possible something just died on me, isn't it? Right. Try that again. Probably. So I'm guessing it's not VL bus weight states. Okay. Well, different RAM then. Try that. I'm not holding up any up, so that's going to do anything. I've got a feeling the board's just decided it doesn't like me. you witnessed me build this, you know I didn't do anything I shouldn't have done. So, you know, I've seen it as literally just that I have the worst luck in the fucking world. Sometimes it's going to be the bloody irony again. That old motherboard out of the skip is probably going to outlast this fucking thing, even if it is limping over the line with only like 3.5 ISA slots running on it. Okay, RAM's a bit hard to mess with in here, I have to be honest, there's not a lot of room. I'll size the camera up again. You're not going to be able to see a lot because the memory is down a hole in that back corner there. So it's not going to be the most informative angle, unfortunately. This RAM came out with that Pentium 60 here, as far as I'm aware. It's hard to keep track of it all. It all looks the same, half of it. This stuff came out of it, I know that much. The thing is, it's the stuff I used to test this motherboard on, and it all worked. Who knows, maybe it just got mad in the process and decided to just fucking leave. Right, I've got a couple of sticks of 2 meg somewhere around here. That is EDO. I don't want to put that in there. EDO is not supported. Okay, 16 meg sticks. Thing is, these would have been temperamental already, so try them. And I did test the power supply like before all of this, so I don't know why it would have gone bad now. And everything on that's not enough, because I'd always wondered if that thing was shaky, but now it turns out the power supply is actually good. So I'm surprised at. Does not like that RAM. I actually use the, when I get like a blank screen on a machine that doesn't work, I actually use like RAM as a means of testing what else is working. Just like put the memory in a configuration you know it's not going to like, and see if it starts beeping at you, you then at least know the CPU's alive. To some extent. Okay, that's that out of the way. FPD. I don't really want to pull that old RAM out of the old motherboard in case this thing is nuking memory, because FPD is a little bit harder to track down these days. I don't think all 4 sticks of that stuff would have gone bad, would they? So I can just put one at a time in. 486s will run on just one stick, I believe. I don't think you have to put it in pairs on these. I think it was Pentiums where you had to start doing that. And that's something to do with the bus width or something. Four bags, so that's bound to be bloody adequate, that, isn't it? Yeah, we're locked out. Well, of course, we're running. There was something else on. They're probably looking for the hard drive. I've never seen anything like that before, I really haven't. It's just like drawing random lines out from the configuration table. Well, I'm giving it until I've had this cigarette, and then I'm going to disappear for the night. So we'll probably fiddle with it for about 10 more minutes tops before I just call it a night. But either way, I did what I said I was going to do. I rebuilt the thing, but it didn't work out as planned yet. Probably get it going. There'll be some trivial, stupid fucking thing I've forgotten to do. There'll be like a make it work jumper in there that I haven't set to on. Try a different ram stick with a different type. Well, different brands, they're the same size, the same speed. I think they're both, what are they, 60 nanosecond, these ones? 4 meg modules. That's really weird. That's really weird. There's a lot of interference getting into the HDMI signal there as well. Should have it somewhere there. It's PCI. What have I done with it? Now there's the old 3 cigarettes worth of GPU right there. This is actually the most expensive 486 board I've ever bought. It's cost more than the rest. I don't really know why, but you know, well, so I care about this machine enough. I was willing to spend it, but if it don't work, I'm going to be very, very unhappy. This graphics card tends to artifact, so this is probably going to look a bit ugly. CPU's cold, yeah, it's freezing. No heatsink on it, doesn't need one, doesn't get hot. Extra stick of RAM in there. Ah, well, no, that's not good at all. What floppy disk is that? It's that one. Right, well, that's a start there. I don't know why that graphics card's decided to not work. It might just be the slot, or it might just be a freak occurrence of the machine wants to start up now for no apparent reason. So I'll reset it, and if it works again, I'll put that graphics card back in a different slot and see if it wants to work. That artifacting's normal. Yeah, something breaking, indeed. It's always got to break. I might just have to buy another graphics card, I suppose. Either way, that looks like it's ready to go. Graphics card problem. And now you can see with that old card. It never did that when it was on YouTube, and I've tried making it do it, but it doesn't do it if I put it in a 386. It's weird. No, the VL cards, they work, but only when they want to work. But they're worth it when they do, because, like I say, it tends to buy you an extra 100 points in, like, top bench for running one. Like, no shit, it gains about 100 points more than this thing, and you do see it in the real world. You know, I can do Duke 3D on this at the lowest resolution, which really says you need a 486 DX266, so doing it on an SX40 is pretty good going. I mean, it'd do it on the ISA card, but it just runs like shit. A whack. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Oven, perhaps. Oh, I found my bloody lighter. After doing the whole bloody stream looking for the fucking thing, I found it. Just as well, because the cigarette's gone out. Right, I'll have to pull that PC speaker out of there, because otherwise it's not going to fit, is it? Might have to double-sided that somewhere else. Yes, that is not going to fit with that speaker box in there. Oh, it does, that glitchy card, it does go away. if you wobble it around. I think it's probably just a loose pad, so that one will be getting the oven. Well, it would if I had an oven. I'll have to borrow one from someone and then claim like I've never been in their house when they get lead poisoning a week later, but fucking won't come out that. Could be. How clean's the connector? Connector looks clean. Slot looks clean. Very clean motherboard actually. That. Well, there's an air in there, but I don't think that'll be clean it. It's not one of my airs. I ain't got no air. Got a wig. Yeah, fucking. Well, I might try tapping it with the back of the screwdriver handle, but I don't think it'll do much. Hold on a second, I'm going to do something silly. Fucking. Yeah, grew my hair back. Just for, a bit of variety in that. Oh, I've gone for the mullet look this time. So, this silly graphics card. And this case is a bit of a tight fit on the bottom slot. If that won't go back, it does work in here, that PC speaker, I don't know where that's going to go. And there's a random mismatched screw in there. God, them screws, it just... Yeah, I've not had it screwed in there the past few boots. I left it unscrewed after I moved it to flip the jumpers over. And it's clearly something on the VL-bus side of things that's causing an issue. What would be around there? I don't know, that might be a bit dirty. Where's the brasso? Got some brasso right there, I'll give it a clean. And somebody is probably going to disapprove of me using this, because if you overdo it, it takes the gold plate off. So I've been told not to do it, but I've never had any trouble. The trick is not to scrub. Just gently rub it and leave it sat there like that, and it will eat the muck, but it won't eat the gold. This Kext, it makes me think of K-extract, for extracting build group files. There's one thing I do wonder with this brasso though, is it conductive or not? I've never really tested the conductivity of it. It's solvent, so yeah, I don't know. It probably won't be, but I don't know what's in there. Maybe the wadding's a bit conductive. I could polish the inside of the machine up like that as well. I'm just going to gently rub that off with my t-shirt. It looks nice and clean now, except there is a faint trace of brasso left just behind the connector, but it's never caused me any trouble. I'll wipe it off. Ooh, shiny. You have to make sure you get all the brasso off though, because it will fuck it up if you don't. It tends to make the connection a bit shit. That definitely looks cleaner than it did. There we go, it should glint in the lens of the camera now. Nice and shiny. Right, bottom slot, pull the plate out. Let's making that slot. I can't remember what they call those, the little plate you screw in when you don't put a card in there. It's like a blank header. Maybe they just call them blank headers, I don't know. Maplin sell them, I've bought them, but they're like a quid, so I don't buy them no more. Too expensive. Fucking hard drive screws you used to get like 100 screws for a quid, and then it was 50 screws for 110, and then it was 20 screws for fucking 4 quid. Good. Let's try again. With that Japanese guy. Let's try it again. I think it's weird because the graphics card gets through this alright. Hard drive's wired up. Ooh, it's not happy. Tapping does nothing. There's a jumper on the graphics card for VGA IRQ. I can try flipping that. Blanking plate. Maybe, would make sense. I've called them that myself before, but I've never been aware of the official title. IRQ. Okay, enable VGA IRQ. What is that, like 9 or something? I think they put that to. I don't know. Let's have a look. Can I see anything loose? Anything suggesting problems? I can return this card, but I'd have to send it back to America, so I'd rather not. There's a scratch at the back of it, but it worked before. I kind of want to solve this, but I'm kind of feeling myself getting more and more tired. So I know I'm losing like my ability to diagnose problems as well as I could. Should I just give up or not? Well, now they didn't plug the VGA lead in then, that would yield a very bad result, I would imagine. It would be even more shocking if it worked. You can always install Windows on the ISA card anyway at some point, because I mean it's same chipset, I don't think it would know the difference. Either way, it's not happy with that card, it's not going to start up on that. Thing is, I used it with the old motherboard as well, like, you know, because I was using that to actually test the graphics card further. So I don't know what I've done to piss it off. I've always done something to annoy it. I just don't know. Yeah, well, bollocks to it. I'll chuck my old card in. Expansion slot covers. Yeah, that is not the most interesting name in the world. Okay, I'll sling this in, I'll benchmark it, and then I'll try and I'll try to what's the word? I'll try to have a look at the hard drive and see if we can read the whole drive. Otherwise though, I do think it works. I think that graphics card has probably just died for reasons unknown. This is the thing with all hardware, it's always hit and miss whether it's going to work. I just realised no one can actually see the monitor because I'm staring at bloody Minicam. What size that's reporting to be. 6 gig drive, I don't know if it supports those. Let's try and run top bench. If there was anything really wrong with the motherboard, this card would trigger it because it uses a lot of power, this one. It gets very hot. There's some pretty complex gear on there for video capture or something, I don't know, but... Oops. Pressing F5. 143. Oh man, that's fucking killed the score, putting that in. Or was it 245 with the other one, weren't it? So then we've got 207 on the old one. On that, I think. Yeah, look at that, that's where we were before. This motherboard is slower than the old one. By quite a considerable amount. On the equivalent CPU, we've got 205 with this graphics card. Yeah, well, let's see if we can see the whole hard drive. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with this graphics card. I could ask the guy about sending it back. It wasn't all that expensive though. I could just buy another one. I don't know. Well, at least my battery works, I suppose. After that shitty soldering. Yeah, give me CD-ROMs. Yeah, it seems it wants to work at least. I mean, that's a good start. Well, he says until it decides to lock up while trying to access the CD drive. The drive's not set to slave or something, is it? I mean, it could be. Pardon me. So it's not going to be good. If I can't get the CD drive to work, then I've got problems, because I'm going to rely on that until I get the network up. And that random white apostrophe shit thing under the view the help file is on my screen. That isn't an artifact. I think I can get F-disk without starting the CD drive. So I'll at least be able to check the hard drive. I can troubleshoot the rest of it later. Because the VL bus could just be screwed. Not happy with that. Okay, well, I'll try starting with no CD-ROM and then I'm definitely calling it a night because I am knackered. Yeah, so much for a fucking one-to-one replacement. Without CD-ROM. RAM drive is operating, that's always a good sign. Those things are fucking temperamental as hell. Or at least the Microsoft RAM drive is. Very limited. I remember when I figured out how to get that going under Windows 98 when I was about 11, I was very pleased with myself. And I had 16 megs of RAM on a Pentium 166 like, so I did have the fucking shitty Cyrix back then. So I did have a Cyrix for a little while. Okay, let's see how much of the hard drive I can see. have a disk larger than 512 megabytes. I would derive from that it's just one of those BIOSes that reports the size wrong. And those are the correct file system already, so I should just be able to format those and use them on this machine. I don't know what operating system it's running on there. I'll try and boot off it, I suppose, real quick before I shut the stream off. But either way, yeah, it seems I can run the 6 gig drive in here, so that hard drive can stay and my rickety old one can retire gracefully. Yeah, that's what we've got on here, is it? Windows 95 is going to kick off pretty majorly. It's not going to like this new configuration. So we're going to set up on a Pentium 60 and move to a 586 and then move to a Pentium 75. I've just noticed my hard drive has an LED on the bottom of it, so we thought, right, also reminds me I never checked whether my LED on the front of the case was working. Oh well, I knew it wouldn't like this. It's not a problem, it's not set up for this machine, so... That's as I'm probably binning the Pentium 75 configuration and changing a lot of stuff in there. I might even put Pro Audio Spectrum in here. But yeah, that's as far as I'm willing to go with this tonight, so... yeah, well, I suppose I should do my regular stupid sign out thing, even though I'm on a stream and this kind of informal the way I do these. But I guess, I don't know, fucking... It's just what I do, innit, so... Can't fucking say I'm inconsistent like a Microsoft operating system, so yeah. In short, I'm my treason. Thanks for watching my stream. I hope that was somewhat enjoyable. Might well do this again, although I don't know if you'll see this machine getting finalised and fixed up, but yeah, it seems to mostly work. Just a bit of troubleshooting, so I'm going to clear off, I think. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Hopefully I'll get something up to do some video editing, but when that'll be, I do not know. Where's the button? Where's the button? Never find the goddamn button. That's the button, isn't it? I think so.